Welcome to The Explainer. Let's jump straight into this, because today we are setting the stage for the absolute ultimate culinary showdown. In one corner, we've got the proudly South African hometown hero. I'm talking about the mighty, towering, fully loaded Kota, just literally spilling over with vibrant, spicy flavors. And over in the opposite corner, weighing in with a hefty price tag and a whole lot of scientific precision, the highly engineered, super expensive gourmet restaurant burger. Today, we're going to break down the history, the crazy science, and the honestly surprising economics behind both of these beloved meals.
It's a pretty fascinating question, right? Like, what actually happens when spontaneous, vibrant street food takes on the meticulously calculated world of fine dining? We're looking at two vastly different culinary philosophies totally colliding here. Out on the street, it's all about survival, affordability, and just big, bold flavors. But in a luxury restaurant, well, that's about status, exact temperatures, and highly controlled environments.
So, here is our roadmap for today. 1. The ultimate culinary showdown. 2. Anatomy of the Kota. 3. The gourmet burger science. 4. Burger economics. And finally, 5. Street meets fine dining. Let's get into it.
Section 1. The ultimate culinary showdown. Street versus fine dining.
When you put these two side by side, it is like night and day. You see a sheer contrast in philosophy. The Kota is the absolute epitome of spontaneous resourcefulness, right? It's designed purely for affordability and deep satisfaction, giving you that greasy, super satisfying crunch. Meanwhile, the gourmet burger is this product of high-end engineering, built specifically to signify luxury, with melt-in-your-mouth perfection.
Moving on to Section 2. Anatomy of the Kota, the Township Burger. Now, if you've never had the pleasure of eating one of these, let me tell you how this spectacular tower of flavors is physically built. You start by taking a fresh quarter loaf of government-style white bread and you hollow out the middle. Then you just aggressively stack it. You've got your slap chips, which are these warm, soft vinegar-drenched fries, layered with thick slices of polony, spicy Russian sausage, a fried egg, melted cheese, and a really generous hit of tangy mango achar. It is a handheld feast that literally hits every single flavor note imaginable.
But here's the thing. The Kota is so much more than just a sandwich. It's deeply woven into South Africa's cultural DNA. It became this incredible amalgamation of creativity, resourcefulness, and honestly, sheer survival. If we trace its origins back to the 1960s in places like Soweto or the Indian communities down in Durban, it served as an affordable, quick, high-energy staple for migrant mine workers during the segregation era of apartheid. So it was fast food born from pure survival and profound resourcefulness.
Which brings us to Section 3, the Gourmet Burger Science, Engineering Perfection.
Okay, so pivot with me here. A high-end restaurant burger leaves absolutely nothing to chance. Take the patty itself, for example. Chefs often create their own custom blends. Think equal parts short rib, brisket, and sirloin. But the golden rule here is hitting exactly a 25% fat ratio. Why? Well, because when heated, that specific amount of fat liquefies and releases volatile compounds that give the meat its recognizable, mouth-watering flavor, all while keeping the patty structurally sound. It is literally engineered for your taste buds down to the molecular level. Crazy, right?
And the engineering definitely doesn't stop at the meat blend. Enter sous vide. If you're not familiar, this is a cooking method where food is vacuum sealed and immersed in a water bath, where the temperature is controlled down to the decimal point. Fine dining kitchens use this to completely eliminate the guesswork. There is no more prodding a burger on a grill to see if it's done. Science takes the wheel completely.
This brilliantly illustrates the extreme contrast in cooking styles. Look at this. To get a perfectly buttery, soft, medium burger, a fine dining kitchen might leave it hovering exactly at 137 degrees Fahrenheit for up to 4 hours before quickly searing it. Just compare that low and slow clinical exactness to the fast, intuitive, sizzling oil of a street vendor who's whipping up a Kota in mere minutes. We're talking about two completely different universes of cooking here.
So you might be wondering, why do chefs go through all this trouble to make a simple burger? Well, sociologists call it cultural omnivorousness. It's this phenomenon where high-status groups elevate a traditionally lowbrow fast food staple by just packing it with highbrow ingredients. Stuff like truffles, foie gras, or custom meat blends. It's essentially a way to display socioeconomic class and culinary grasp. You aren't just buying a meal anymore. You're buying a status symbol that proves you appreciate both the rustic origins of the food and the exorbitant price of its fancy new ingredients.
All right, let's look at the money. Section 4.
Burger economics, costs of fine dining.
You might think that selling a $20 or $30 gourmet burger is a fast track to wealth for a restaurant owner, but the reality? An absolute shocker. An astonishing 90% of a traditional restaurant's revenue is entirely eaten up by massive labor costs, exorbitant rent, and ingredient spoilage before they even see a single dime of profit.
In fact, top chefs openly admit that from a business perspective, burgers just don't make money. That super expensive, scientifically perfected gourmet burger is actually a money pit. It acts as a loss-leading menu item designed almost entirely to lure you into the restaurant so they can push highly profitable beverage and cocktail sales. Who knew, right?
Now compare that margin-crushing environment to our street food hero. The Coda business model is an absolute entrepreneurial dream. Vendors utilize low-cost, repurposed shipping containers, they avoid those massive, binding commercial lease contracts, they have incredibly fast turnaround times, and they use affordable, highly customizable ingredients. So ironically, the street food vendor is actually running a vastly more profitable and scalable business model than the high-end chef.
Let's bring it all together in Section 5, Street Meets Fine Dining, the culinary crossover.
The lines are really starting to blur here, and local entrepreneurs in South Africa have pioneered something truly amazing, the private school Coda. This is the culinary crossover we've been waiting for, taking the absolute soul of the street food and giving it the full gourmet treatment.
These private school Codas are prepared by trained chefs and loaded with premium ingredients. So instead of just standard polony, you're getting thick beef patties, succulent rib burgers, and crispy bacon. They have fantastic cheeky branding with names like the Cheese Boy Coda. And, matching that brilliant business model we just talked about, they're sold through scalable container franchises and promoted heavily through sophisticated digital marketing and SEO. It's street food elevated to a premium brand, while still totally maintaining that brilliant low-overhead container setup.
And you know what? The convergence goes both ways. International fine dining is looking back to the vibrant streets of South Africa for inspiration. Global Michelin-starred menus are now taking South African staples like spicy chakalaka relish, cured biltong, and comforting maize pop and giving them the luxury treatment. The heart and heritage of the township are actively reshaping global gastronomy.
So we finally arrive at the ultimate question. On one hand, you have the spontaneous, deeply culturally rich, and incredibly resourceful Coda. On the other hand, the scientifically engineered, perfectly temperature-controlled luxury of the gourmet burger. Both are complete marvels of human ingenuity in their own right. So which masterpiece would you rather take a bite out of? Definitely something to think about next time you look at a menu. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you in the next one.